الحمد لله نحمده حمدا هو الحدين يمحق في توحيد ما سوى الواحد الحق ويتلاشى ونمجد تمجيدا من يصرح بأن كل شيء ما سوى الله باطل ولا يتحاشى ونشكرها إذ رفع السماء لعباده سقفا مبنيا ومهد أرضا بساطا لهم وفراشا وقوار ليلة على النهار فجعل ليلة لباسا وجعل نهار معاشا ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله الذي يصدر مؤمنين عن حوضه رواحا بعد رهودهم عليه حتوشا. All praise are due to Allah. We praise Him and we praise Him, the praise of one who believes in the oneness of Allah. Such a belief that destroy the worship of anyone beside Him, and we glorified Him in such a glorification whereby we emphatically declare that anything beside Him, beside Allah, is useless and not to be feared. And we thank Him for having raised the heaven as a canopy above His servants, and for having laid down the earth as a carpet and a bedding for them. And He has made the earth to follow the day, and has made the day as a covering, and has created the day as a means of earning subsistence. We bear witness that there is no other being worthy of worship except Allah alone, without partner or associate. And we bear witness that our Master Muhammad is Allah's servant and messenger, from who fountain the believers will go away having completely quenched their thirst after having arrived there thirsty for a drink. May Allah's choicest blessing be upon him, his family and his companions, who did not leave aside any effort or energy for the sake of helping the deen of Islam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to Muslims how Muslims must live in a society in the Al-Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals set of rules and laws in the Al-Quran, and to support Al-Quran, the Sunnah of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He revealed this set of rules and laws to guide Muslims through the guidance of Al-Quran and the Sunnah. Everything lawful and unlawful with regard to everyday activity that govern human life was taught by our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. From laws and rules on how to manage, control and regulate business transactions, economic, social, political, to trade matters and so on, in a society was taught by our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet taught Muslims for many reasons. Among the reasons he taught Muslims was so that Muslims could live independently and be free from being controlled by other nations, so that Muslims could live as a Muslim community, or Muslim society in a new land or wherever Muslims settle, and also so that Muslims could earn Allah's blessing and reward here in this world and in the hereafter, and most importantly, so that Muslims could remain on the straight path. The Prophet ﷺ said in one hadith, he said, "Whole people, fear Allah, be moderate in seeking provision, take that which is permissible and leave that which is forbidden." The Prophet ﷺ would say, the lawful is clear and the unlawful is also clear, and between that are matters that are doubtful, not clear. So whoever lives the doubtful matters to protect his religion and his honor, then it will be safe. But Muslim must not fall into unlawful, that indeed Allah's sanctuary is what He made unlawful. So through the teaching of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Muslims are guided. If Muslims are far away from his teaching, then Muslims will be misguided. With the matter regarding to Islamic financial system, Muslims are misguided because the Islamic banks are claiming to be Sharia compliant, to be functioning according to the law of Allah, while they are not functioning according to the law of Allah, which is the Quran and the Sunnah. The Islamic banks are very popular in Muslim majority countries, and there are traces of this bank in the Western countries and other non-Muslim countries. The Islamic banks have deceived many Muslims to take out financial contracts that are designed to be Sharia compliant. From some of their branches, a deceitful Sharia compliant created by the Muslim world leaders. The Muslim world leaders' interpretation of Sharia law that is far from the real Sharia law. The real Sharia law, which is the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Islamic banks have deceived Muslims to take out this deceitful Islamic financial contract. The contract they provide for people. Financial contract for mortgage purpose with no riba attached. Loan for cars with no riba attached. Business, investment purpose, and other projects they may need lawful finance for. There are many reasons why the Islamic banks are unlawful, not based upon the Quran and Sunnah, and we will see the reasons why as we go along in this video. All the Sharia compliant financial services are the decision of the Muslim world leaders. The Muslim world leaders from the OIC organization, along with the ulamas from the Council of Muslim Scholars, which also belong to the OIC organization, and other Muslim world leaders. They all meet in the Zionist-controlled United Nations with other United Nations state members, discussing on how they will make the world a better place. These leaders also meet in Islamic conferences to discuss matters like Sharia compliance services and other matters relating to Islam. When they then reach decision on matters, they will issue fatwas on subjects like Islamic finances, and then encourage Muslims to practice and use these services in its member states and countries. The Islamic banks have not only misguided the Muslims, but the Muslim leaders themselves, and also the ulama scholars, the scholars. These leaders are run to give the okay for Muslims to take out the financial services from Islamic banks. The Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ's tradition is the only set of rules and law that should govern how Muslims live and do business in the world of today, not the Islamic system we currently have. We will see the real system as we go along in this video. And of course, the root of our Islamic financial system is the key to understanding today's Islamic bank. So let's see how it all started. It all started when the Muslim world went for a period of colonization by the European nations from the 18th centuries until the present day 20th century, which resulted in the Western nation dominating and control over the economics and financial system of Muslim countries. Then, around the middle of the 19th century, many movements emerged from the colony nations for independence to manage their own economic activities according with the teaching of Islam. So, toward 1960s, the first Islamic bank and financial institution was set up in North Africa, Egypt, and then another first Islamic bank followed in Southeast Asia, in Malaysia. The Islamic Bank in Malaysia was started to help people to save for Hajj and to perform pilgrimage to Mecca and Medina. Then, toward the mid-70s, other Islamic institution was established in Libya, Kuwait, Iran, Iraq, and countries like Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, with its oil wealth, engages in business dealing with non-Muslim countries and other Muslim countries, and promotes international economic cooperation and foreign trade. But naturally, the activities of international business dealings of Muslim countries with other Muslim countries or non-Muslim countries, the Muslim country will prefer the transaction that follow Islamic law, Sharia compliance. Now, the Islamic financial transaction covers so many areas, from Muslim country to Muslim country financial transactions, government to government financial transactions, the Islamic bank to individual finance for loan and mortgage deals, money transaction through various financial instrument and other investment financial transactions. All of these business dealings, financial transaction among the various Muslim government, Muslim country and individuals that I've just mentioned go through the Islamic financial institution or Islamic banks. The bank acts as intermediaries between them and the parties they are doing business with in a bank-to-bank financial transaction. They will agree on terms and sign contract with the Islamic banks or Islamic institution for a Sharia compliance contract for whatever project or business they are doing. So when the Muslim government, Muslim individual or Muslim countries, when they are ready to do financial transaction and want a Sharia compliance contract, they go to these banks. The financial transaction system between the Muslim government, Muslim countries and individuals with the banks for business is what we're talking about. Because the Prophet ﷺ Sharia system didn't work the same way as the Sharia system we have today, what the banks are simply doing is they are pressing digital buttons that send signals through wires to the other bank in another country or city. And then those banks will look on their screen and see digital numbers that will turn into money. This system is not the real Sharia compliance financial transaction system, but we'll see the full picture as we go along. We'll see the real system as we go along. Everything that the normal conventional bank will give a consumer that involves with money, Islamic banks will provide alternatives which are designed to be lawful or Sharia compliance or halal according to Islam. The Muslim government, the Muslim organization, individual or Muslim countries, when they need financial services, what they will do is they will approach the Islamic banks or other Islamic institution and ask for Islamic financial services. The Muslim government, the individual and businesses, they all want business financial transaction that conform to Allah's law. But the question is, are these Islamic banks, bank or Islamic institution, are they Islamic or un-Islamic? Should Muslims be using their services? These are part of our questions. As Muslims, we need to know if we are deceived or not, or if our banks are Islamic or un-Islamic. And in order to know this, we need to look at the real Sharia system compared to today's Sharia system. Because only through following the real Sharia that we are remained on the straight path, not the wrong Sharia system. We'll start first by looking at the process of how Islamic banks of today work, with the example of an Islamic transaction that involved the Islamic bank and consumer for a large mortgage deal. In a normal transaction, if you as a Muslim, you want to obtain a loan for your project or to purchase a house, in this case for a large mortgage deal, and then you approach Islamic banks for Sharia compliance contract. And naturally, being a bank, the bank needs to make its own profits from the mortgage it provided for you. So the question is, from where would the Islamic bank derive its profit from? Because the Islamic banks cannot charge interest like conventional banks do. The Islamic bank will make its profit, but instead of charging interest for the loan, the Islamic bank will charge you a fee payment, or you will share a portion of the profit that the project will generate with the bank. In this case, the profit from the mortgage deal is provided for you. If you then decide to borrow the allowed mortgage deal for the house with the bank, and you take out the mortgage contract, You agree on a Sharia compliance contract to purchase the house for the bank. The process of that contract of Islamic banks mortgage contract work like this. The bank will ask the consumer to identify a home they desire. Once the consumer has identified a home, the home the consumer desire, and then return to the bank. The bank will buy the home from the home dealer or estate agent that the consumer points out to the bank and pay the money in full. The bank will then sell the home to the consumer at a markup selling price. The markup selling price is the profit plus the bank's purchase price. The purchase price is 400,000. The markup selling price is 600,000. The difference between the 600,000 and 400,000, which is 200,000. The 200,000 is the bank's profit. In this transaction, instead of charging interest for the mortgage like conventional banks, the sale price, the profit from the house, which is the 200,000, and the 200,000 is the bank's profit. The payment will obviously be paid in a lump sum or 20 years installment. This kind of contract is a cost plus profit base, a debt based contract. This kind of Islamic financial contract is a debt based contract, and in the same kind of debt based contract, but in conventional banking financial system, it works differently. With the conventional banks, if you meet all the criteria required by the conventional bank, like you have a regular income coming in, no CCJ, never been bankrupt, and you have deposit, you should get the mortgage deal. But the mortgage deal will come with interest charges. So the difference between the same debt-based contract of a normal high street conventional banks and the debt-based contract of Islamic banks is that the conventional banks will deal with riba and will charge you interest, deal with riba interest, and will charge you interest. And the conventional banks also deal with other haram activities. While in Islamic banks, every financial contract they give out have to remain within the Sharia rules. The most common contract which Muslim consumer use the Islamic banks for, and the contract that are exactly the same as a conventional bank's contract, are Islamic contract for deposit accounts, saving accounts, loan for cars, mortgage deal, loan for business investment, allow life insurance and business insurance, and financial contract to invest in like stock exchange, bonds, and other investments, and so on. These are the same contract you will approach normal conventional banks for. So both banks, Islamic banks financial system and the conventional banking financial system, are both structured and similar to one another in the way they give out their loans through the financing of assets like homes and cars, with payments by installments. But the difference between the two is that the Islamic financial system, every financial contract they give out have to be a Sharia compliance allowed contract. There are many kinds of these misleading financial contracts. The contract that Islamic Bank will give Muslims, and they go by different Arabic names in Arabic. But we cannot talk about all of them. There's too many of them. We'll look at two examples. The Islamic banks might provide a consumer a Sharia compliance deceitful contract, like the allow mortgage deal we have just spoken about, where the banks buy the home for the consumer and sell the home to the consumer, a cost plus profit based debt based contract. An alternative deal to haram mortgage deal. Then another contract is the Islamic banks will lease its equipment or an asset to a consumer for rental for a specified period. And at the end of the lease period, the ownership of the lease will still remain with the bank. This is another kind of allowed contract, an alternative to haram rental deal. The Islamic banks are for Muslims, those Muslims who wants to remain faithful to their religion, but these financial contracts have deceived and misguided Muslims, especially Muslims in Muslim majority countries. The Sharia compliance Islamic financial system that involves paper money, electronic wires, digital digital computer communication. This system was not known during the time of our Prophet, and nor did the Prophet ever mention anything about paper money. How could the financial system of this bank be lawful? If those Muslim world leaders could not see the wrong in this system, then they are walking around blind. They're walking around blindly. The Muslim world leaders from OIC organization. OIC stands for Organization of Islamic Conference. Their understanding of Sharia compliance law is shallow. Our Muslim leaders are poorly educated on these subjects, on the subject of the real Sharia law. The Islamic banking the Islamic banking contracts around the world, and the method of how the contract would work was the decision of OIC Muslim world leaders. These leaders are the leaders that gave us the deceitful and forced Sharia compliance Islamic financial transaction of today. They meet in conferences annually to discuss what policy they will implement on Islamic related issues, whether issue related to Islamic institution of member states, issue related to development projects in member states and countries, and issue related to Islamic education system of member states countries. And they also take action on matters about violence against Muslims in different countries. And the OIC also supply troops to the UN, troops to its troops from its members. But with the matter regarding Sharia law, they are no good. OIC is also part of United Nations organization. The OIC organization is probably the biggest organization that is leading the Muslim world today. Whatever decision they reach on matters, if the project require funding, they will support the projects in member state countries with funds to aid the Islamic projects, and also the finance of our Islamic projects. OIC has 57 country members. Most of its members are Muslim countries, and the organization consists of Muslim leaders from Muslim countries, with Saudi Arabia being the Secretary General. Muslim countries like Jordan, Iran, Indonesia, Morocco, and many other countries, and few non-Muslim countries, along with Council of Islamic Scholars who also belong to the OIC organization. Now, what is the meaning of Sharia law? What is the meaning of Sharia law? And question 2, how does the Sharia compliance system work according to the Muslim world leaders? How does the Sharia compliance system work according to Muslim world leaders? We'll start first by what Sharia law is. The Sharia law is a law for the Islamic way of life that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to Muslims, and the law that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala command Muslims to follow. The Sharia law is a law based on the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How does Sharia compliance system work? How does it work according to the Muslim world leaders? How does the Sharia compliance system work according to Muslim world leaders, the Muslim world leaders' interpretation of Sharia system. The Muslim world leaders, they believe that the Sharia law is the law for the Islamic way of life, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to mankind. This is the same thing any Muslims believe, which is right. And also they believe to ensure that Islamic financial transactions are Sharia compliant. The leaders believe that 5 key principles have to be strictly followed. Principle 1, to believe in the divine guidance in order for financial transaction to be Sharia compliant. Principle 2, no interest. Principle 3, no haram activities involving the financial transaction in order for the Sharia compliance to be Sharia compliance. And principle 4, they believe risk have to be shared. Risk sharing should be encouraged. Principle 5, financing is based on real assets. These are the 5 key principles that the Muslim world leaders believe that have to be strictly followed in order for financial transaction to be Sharia compliance. The Muslim world leaders, everything they believe is right. Yes, we know we must believe in divine guidance, and yes, again, we know we must not deal with interest or usury. That is also right. And we know we must not involve in any haram activities. That is also correct. And we know we must share risk in business. That is also right. But the Zionist paper money we have in circulation today is wrong. The Zionist paper money we have in circulation today is wrong. The paper money is completely haram. The real Sharia system has to come from the Sunnah of our Prophet and the Quran. Whatever the Prophet ﷺ made lawful and unlawful in our Islamic financial transactions is what is from Allah, and this is the real system, not their own interpretation of Sharia law. The real money that was used by the Prophet ﷺ in his financial transaction is the same money. It's not the same money we have in circulation today. The real money that was used by the Prophet ﷺ in financial transaction is not the same money we have in circulation today. And the Prophet ﷺ spoke widely about the real money and used the real money in his financial transaction in Mecca and Medina. And the real money was not paper money. The Muslim world leaders' interpretation of Sharia law for the Islamic banking system is full of disobedient transaction compared to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's law for many reasons, not only because of the haram paper money and the wrong Sharia system. In a real Islamic financial transaction, gold, dinar, and silver dirham, commodities and nothing else. In a real Islamic financial transaction, gold, dinar, and silver dirham, commodity and nothing else. And the only other way also is to exchange one thing for the other. These are the ways according to the rules and laws of Allah and the Sunnah of our Prophet ﷺ, ways for making payments, not through Zionist paper money. The real Islamic financial transaction is what they practiced in Arabia, in Mecca and Medina 1400 years ago, when they are engaging in financial transactions, in their business dealings and other deals between the traders and the buyers. A financial transaction of the Prophet's tradition. And in order to further understand how Islamic financial transaction works, we need to go back to the time of Prophet ﷺ in Medina until he returned back to Mecca. So let's do that. The Prophet in Medina. After the unspeakable torture for 10 years in Mecca, the Messenger of Allah migrated to Medina, and all the tasks of building a new Muslim society, a society that's governed by Allah's law, was in the hand of our Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He arrived in Medina, then then the process of building a new society was started. And of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him knowledge and wisdom on how Muslims must live as an independent Muslim society according to what Allah had revealed in the Quran. Whether in handling economic, political, government, administration, fighting war and making peace matters, business, financial transaction matters, he had the knowledge and the wisdom to understand the real Islamic financial transaction of a Muslim society, the right financial system, the Sunnah way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had permitted Muslims to follow according to Al-Quran. We need to take knowledge from the Sunnah narrated from companions and the believers of the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Medina. And even from what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam made lawful and unlawful for Muslims in Medina. Between the first year of the Hijrah to the fourth year of Hijrah, an Islamic state had been established in Medina. The Muslims by this time had settled down in Medina. Many revelations were further revealed. The revelation that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed between the first to the fourth year of Hijrah in Medina were focused more on man-to-man activities. Among the revelation revealed was the revelation on prohibition of riba, which we will take a lot of information from, the riba hadiths. Surah Al-Baqarah was also revealed in Medina. The surah also spoke widely about how Muslims must carry out lawful financial transactions in our day-to-day business dealings. Through the Madani surahs, we will know how Muslim financial transactions should work. On a day-to-day basis, traders and caravans with goods will go in and out of markets in Medina to engage in trading with customers in the market. This was how they lived on a daily basis in Medina at the time of the Prophet. When the people see the caravans with the goods, some of the Muslims and the people of Medina had the habit of rushing to meet the caravans with the goods far away before the caravan reached the market, to buy merchandise in advance from the caravans with the goods far away before the caravan reached the market. When the Prophet ﷺ see them doing this, the Prophet ﷺ will forbid the Muslims from meeting the caravans with the goods far away from the market, and he ﷺ will say to the Muslims that they must wait until the caravans reach the market. They must wait until the caravan reach the market.